Hi,
My,
everybody.
my name is Virginia,
And I'm Caitlin.
and I'm coming to you from North Idaho.
And I'm coming to you from Ohio out in the Midwest.
And for those who are tuning in today, first of all, thank you for tuning in to our first official intro of the Talking Blondes podcast. So, some of you might already know Caitlin and I and our story and why we're doing this podcast, but some of you may not. And so we just wanted to take the opportunity here with our intro to share a little bit about us, who we are, why we're doing this, and then we just hope that, we'll just make this a great time for everyone who's tuning in today. So I'm going to have Miss Caitlin here talk to you about how she got into, which is what our podcast is really about. It's mental health based and wellness. So I'm going to have her kind of talk about her personal experience and journey with that.
Definitely, definitely. So, as far as mental health and wellness, I've always been that person that's just very into thinking about, why do I feel a certain way? Why am I the way I am? Typical millennial, I think, in those types of ways. But I guess the best way to really start to explain my journey and diving in with this Talking Blondes podcast was I had a absolutely wonderful, wonderful experience with a dear friend who happens to be a life coach. Miss Virginia over here, major shout out to you. And of course, I don't want to speak for her. I'll let her get into all this in just a moment. Um, Towards the end of our life coach sessions together, of course, I was the client, I guess. She was the coach. Towards the end of our sessions together, I had really come to this point where, prior to us meeting, I was really going through a very uncertain time, in my life. As a 30 something, I think even, you don't have to be in your 30s, 20s, 40s, whatever, it doesn't matter. You always kind of reach these moments, I think, that are pivotal, right? And there's just, a lot of decisions to be made. There might be a lot of confusion, a lot of different things kind of just up in the air. And Virginia was someone who wonderfully guided me through a lot of those things. And towards the end of our sessions, we were looking at a few of the goals and ideas that I had and just dreams, right, in general. And one of those dreams was to have a podcast. And Virginia and I were talking, and we're like, okay, yeah, like different things, like check off the box, whatever. And then we got to that dream, and Virginia was like, I have this crazy idea. Well, what if we do this together? And I thought that's so crazy that actually might work. The feeling. You know the feeling. I think whether it's a podcast or something different, I think a lot of us can relate to that excitement out there, right? Of kind of like, this could be really interesting and fun.
Mhm.
So we are here on this little journey together to share a lot of our experiences to really open up and build a community. And we're just so excited to get the ball rolling with this. My experience is someone who has been a client of a life coach, someone who has learned. Definitely don't pretend to know everything. 100%. I am a continuous learner. I think we all are. But I'm someone who has seen the other side of it and can speak to a lot of the beauty that comes from diving into mental health. Sometimes it's ugly, right? Sometimes it's funny. I mean, sometimes you have to laugh at yourself. There's all of these mixed emotions and experiences that come with diving in and having a vulnerable mindset, and doing it with someone who really, really cares, genuinely cares. And that's how, Virginia, you've been for me, and everybody listening and watching. If you're watching this, that's what we want to be for you as podcast co-hosts. So without further ado, I know I went on a little bit of a tangent, but that is a lot of my experience in a nutshell. Always having an interest in mental health, seeking help when I've needed it. I'm such an advocate for that, whether it's therapy, life coaching, what have you.
Mhm.
And just having this perspective and life view of always wanting to be better every day. Only person to ever compare yourself to is who you were yesterday, and that's what I'm here to do. Virginia, I want to give you the floor now though, because you have a lot that you can share in this sector. So, what is your experience with mental health?
Oh, well, Caitlin, thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for having me be a part of your journey and trusting me with that. This is what was so great about Caitlin being my first client in my life coaching business is she went into, she deep dived, she expressed curiosity. Curiosity is so important because you are just learning about yourself and why you are the way you are, why you think the way you are. And just like Caitlin said, it can get pretty dark and heavy, but if we have less shame and get to laugh at ourselves, and like that's the whole point about growth, is that if you're not cringing at your past self, then you're probably not growing. um so working with Caitlin, it was just so refreshing because she wasn't coming in uh, burdened. She was coming in with like wanting to have these fresh lens on her life and her growth and transformation, which I still see to this day is so inspiring and powerful. So this is a big, big part of why I got into life coaching. So I've been on both sides, as now Caitlin can speak to. When it comes to mental health, there is the privilege of being able to go to therapy, and there's the privilege of being able to work with a life coach. And from being in both sides as a client myself, so in therapy and working with life coaches, I do think that when you're in therapy, uh, the way I look at it is like you get to graduate to life coaching. So there is a place for it where you do have to, you know, deep dive into those root underlying issues. But with life coaching, you're able to create a life past your trauma. And your mental health is not a burden. It actually is a powerful force that propels you to actually move forward. That's where I'm coming from with my life coaching business. And that's what I'm hoping to help other people with, women specifically. And I'm just really excited because I definitely know kind of going through the dark, messy, ugly parts of mental health. But it is so much, I don't know, more doable when someone's by your side and it's kind of like your personal light guiding you through grace, through humor, maybe sometimes some tough love, but you're not as alone. So even though in those moments it can feel very alone, hopefully you are equipped by working with the right person with the tools and the resources to help navigate while you're on that path. So that's a big reason why I got into life coaching. That is also a big reason why Caitlin and I are starting this podcast. We are the Talking Blondes.
Talking blondes,
The
yes,
Talking
yes.
Blondes. And like Caitlin said, we're in our mid 30s, so we have so far our fair share of experiences of life, and we just figured, you know what? Why not share some insights and perspectives from women who are healing and who are growing? I think that can be a ripple effect for so many people when you come to the table with other people, with women who are coming from a healing place, not a wounded place. Talks are going to be
Absolutely.
a little different, so
Yes.
they're going to be more uplifting. They're going to be more fun and loving. It's coming from a very loving, kind, beautiful place that Caitlin embodies beautifully. And so that's why she's inspiring to me.
So does Virginia, just saying, okay? So does
Well,
Virginia.
Kaylin has the princess like queen energy, and I have the feral gremlin energy, and together we make such a great team. So I love it. It's the dark and light energy, which I'm all about too, which we will get into as this podcast progresses. So we already dropped so many little things that this is what we are hoping for our podcast. All of this to come, all this magic stuff that we are going to talk about more, have deeper dive discussions. We have this vision, Caitlin and I, that we would love to bring on guests to the Talking Blondes podcast. So we'll have real women with real stories who can contribute and we can learn from. I have wonderful friends of mine representing the North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene area. Caitlin's got some great people she has in mind. So this is all coming very soon. So but we do have to talk about how this even became like a thing. Caitlin's in
Yes,
Ohio. I'm in North Idaho.
yes,
Hello, when did this happen? So
exactly.
I'm gonna have Caitlin here talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Virginia. And I just have to say, for having gremlin energy, you definitely put your own little Disney princess spin on it sometimes. I think we both have that to an extent. But we definitely have that balancing act that we somehow bring to the table, and I'm here for it. So, yes, I was going to say, I'm glad you brought this up. Um, we're not just two people that are like, hey, I was a client, I was a life, or am a life coach. We are two people that have much more of a history than that. And so you're not just getting stories and experiences from that incident and period of our lives, but you're also getting so many more wonderful things that come from a foundation of friendship. So let's rewind. Let's go back in time. I'll make this quick. I'll try. I'm known to be a little long-winded, but I'll do my best. So back when I will say when I was in college, so dinosaur years a little bit, it feels like it. I had a roommate who absolutely wonderful human. Her name is Amanda, such a dear, beautiful soul. And I just remember being, we were, living junior year, living together, and I remember hearing my friend, my roommate, Amanda, on the phone. You're walking through your apartment and you hear people talking, whatever. And I remember thinking, whoever she's talking to just sounds like someone who is so lovely and not to mention funny and just someone that she has this amazing bond with. And, of course, time passed, and I remember Amanda saying, oh, like, yeah, I have all these wonderful phone calls with my friend Virginia. I've known her since I was a child. We were neighbors in Florida. And so she's telling me all these things about her friend Virginia. And she's saying, you actually kind of remind me of her. It's a little uncanny. And I remember thinking, okay, I'll take it because she sounds really cool. I hope I can remind you of her. So, as time went on, and mind you, Virginia and Amanda's friendship has been long distance more than not. I don't want to speak for you, Virginia, but just kind of catching people up to the story. So fast forward to Amanda's getting married. And Virginia and I are both in the wedding. And Virginia, we may have even like spoken to each other on speakerphone. I think maybe once or twice or something. And I remember thinking, she's so cool. Like I'd love to meet her, And sure enough, we're in this wedding, and we absolutely hit it off. Between Uptown Funk, I think probably on the dance floor, and just hanging out, getting to know everybody, but just we really bonded, I think. And it was one of those things where I don't know, I think there are certain people that, whether you believe in God, the universe, whatever, I think there's certain people that there is something higher that brings you together. And I just kind of had this feeling in that moment of like, this is something. This could be a really cool friendship. It stinks that we live so far from each other.
Mm.
Well, around that time, and I don't want to speak for you, Virginia. I want you to share your insight too and your experience too. But around that time, I was actually living in Boston. So I packed up my suitcase and my laptop and all my favorite Harry Potter books, and I drove on out to New England, and I was living there, on my own, doing my thing. And Virginia had somewhat of a similar experience living in New England, right? So share your story, girl.
Yeah, thank you, Caitlin. So, as Caitlin was talking about, our mutual friend Amanda, who's going to be a future guest star and probably reoccurring. So, Amanda,
Please,
just so you know.
please. Yes. She's the honorary talking blonde. She's
Yes,
blonde too, so it works. It's
it
perfect.
does. It does. And as Caitlin mentioned, Amanda and I, we were long distance friends longer than when we were neighbors. So we first met when about 6 years old, and then we were only neighbors for a couple years. And then her family moved to Ohio, and my family moved further down south in Florida, and we've been best friends ever since. And when Amanda went off to college, and she met this lovely gal over here, Miss Caitlin, I was just like, I cannot wait to meet this girl in person. And when we did finally get to meet at Amanda's wedding, like I thought I was in the presence of like pure sunshine. I was just like, oh my, who is this goddess? Like, oh my gosh, like this,
So sweet.
wow, like, and the energy.
I'm giving her $50 for that. Just so you know. Okay, all right. The secret's out. I told her to say this.
Totally, totally. The energy was just so pure and genuine, and it was just like it was pure magic. So, um, and as Caitlin said, she made a big move to Boston, and I made a big move to New Hampshire, and during that time we were closer in proximity, so we did have an opportunity to see each other in person, and it just never worked out. And I had a chance to actually go over this with you, Caitlin, as to why I feel like it just wasn't in the works. And it wasn't because I didn't want to see Caitlin, or put in the effort, but my move to New Hampshire was a huge stepping stone for my mental health. And so during that time, it was actually a darker period. And sometimes it's best to just like not always invite people into that energy space. So you're kind of protecting them and you're protecting yourself as well. And I had a lot of healing to do. So it's not to say that I still couldn't see Caitlin during that time. I just don't think it would have, I don't think I would have even been mentally and emotionally present. And I know that's a sucky thing to admit, but this is why on this podcast, we want to be vulnerable and transparent about all the different stages of mental health. You will go through a stage, if you haven't already, where you just want to, you know, hunker down, kind of be like, isolate yourself because you don't want to be a burden to somebody. And I'm going to let you know that's far from the truth, but you probably do want to keep your circle small and sacred. You don't have to overextend yourself, right? And that's what it felt like at the time. I was just overextending myself constantly. I had no balance in my life whatsoever. So knowing like how much I admire Caitlin, I would have not forgiven myself if I brought her into that energy space and dragged her down with me. It would have not been a conscious thing. It definitely would have been subconscious. But I think my darkness would have like latched onto her, which is what happens. So I don't want anybody to feel bad if that's been your experience. That doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. But there is something to be said about boundaries and just even being aware of that can really help preserve your relationships. So everything was like laid out for us to meet in person. It would have been a simple like bus ride probably from New Hampshire to Boston. Like it would have not been a big deal at all. And so that's how I look at it. That's how I choose to look at it. And look what's come out of it. Like this amazing friendship
Yes.
through all this growth and, still being able to have this relationship despite those dark times. And I think that's important to take away from this as well. Like you can still have beautiful relationships with people even during dark times. It just may look and feel different for a while. But
Absolutely.
here we are doing this podcast
We are. Here
years
we are.
later.
And
So
Virginia,
cool.
I think too, I think honestly, a friendship like ours is a true testament to, you can have right place, wrong time. You can
Hmm.
absolutely have that in life.
Hmm. Yep.
But I also believe that what's meant for you will not pass you by. You just may not get it the way you think you're going to have it.
Yeah.
It may
That's
be that the universe has it unfold in a very different way that you could never have dreamed of. And here we are. So honestly, I think everything I don't know. I couldn't have asked for anything better. I truly couldn't. So
And I feel the same way. And I just want to say this, like, yes, this is a side project. Caitlin and I have had this podcast, but like I gotta tell you guys who are listening and watching, we have been at this for a little over a year now, and Caitlin and I have been showing up every time and putting our 110% into it. And it was a massive learning curve. Every time we went into like, this is it, we walk away with like a list full of things that we still have to work on. Like
mhm.
we're like, we are not settling. We don't know what this podcast is going to be. We don't know what it's going to be for people who, are willing to listen and to be involved and be a part of this community. But like, we just knew this represents us, our friendship, our just, our energy. And that's what we want for the podcast. We want people to feel included. We want you to be able to share your thoughts, your opinions, your suggestions. But we're just going to be big family of friends here.
Yes.
What we want.
This
So,
is absolutely, I second that. This is not just two girls from opposite ends of the coast talking to each other about life and mental health and all of the things under the sun. This is very much not our podcast. This is your podcast. This is something that we are hoping to continuously grow in, right? We're learning as we go, so we're going to give ourselves grace. We hope you'll give us grace too. But, just maybe just a little. But at the same time, we also know that anyone listening is on their own individual journey. And our goal is to try to meet you where you are. We may not know every little detail of your life, but we absolutely want to hear from you. We want to know what you care about. We want to know whatever you're comfortable sharing. We want to know what struggles you may be going through, or maybe what hurdles you've overcome when it comes to life's challenges and different mental health things that you may have faced over the years. We're all in this together. This is a sisterhood kind of thing. And all are welcome. All are welcome. We don't turn anybody away as long as there's kindness, respect, and an open heart. That's what this is. And we're so excited for this journey.
excited. That was beautifully said, Caitlin. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And with that, we will end on a really positive note. Is that for those who are listening and watching the intro, we do have our first official episode of Talking Blondes podcast. So stay tuned for that. And since this is a community, you are able to find us on Instagram as well as YouTube. We do have an email account as well, just to keep the communication open. And those are all linked in the show notes. So we cannot wait to see you on the next episodes. And we just want to say thank you so much for tuning in today. It means a lot to us.
Thank you, thank you. We are so excited. Thanks for being on this ride with us. Buckle up, buttercups. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a fun, crazy, everything ride. So get ready.
Get ready. Thanks, everyone. See you on the other side.
See you on the other side.
Bye.